I'm very pleased to have this panel. It's about consumerization, and I have three great friends. But I will start with the introduction, and then I introduce you our friends. So the line between consumer product, consumer application, and professional broadcast tool is becoming blurred over the year. Content creators now utilize affordable device and software to, reach millions of users with their content. And broadcasters seek ways to leverage the flexibility and accessibility of this device or this application, even in their workflow. And so the key question for us today is how can the broadcast industry leverage these waves of consumerization without sacrificing reliability, quality, and scale? And I'm very excited to welcome our three guests who each represent a different side of this transformation. We have Zhou from Medjool, was company build bridge that connect professional broadcast system with accessible, flexible I/O device. We have Chris Burgos from Elgato with a long experience with new tech, NDI, VZT. Elgato is a brand that has become iconic for empowering creators everywhere with tools that combine simplicity with real production power. And then we have Carluccio from Zhou, where the platform that redefined online communication is now evolving into a powerful component of professional media production. So together we will explore how broadcast company can learn from the consumer market, and perhaps how the next big innovation in broadcast might come from device that people already have on their desk at home, for example. And so let's dive in. My first question is for Amy. Medjool is often seen as a bridge between consumer device and professional broadcast infrastructure. So how do you see your role evolving as more broadcasters adopt workflow that mix traditional equipment with consumer-grade tools?
Thank you for having me. Well, Medjool's role as a bridge technology is to incorporate broadcasting infrastructure elements and merge them with the commercial AV worlds to work with like the HDMI cameras, switchers, and to platforms like Zoom or Teams. And the perfect example would be our ProConvert IP to USB, which bridges the IP streams, including NDI, SRT, RTMP, etc., into software and like Zoom. And by the way, we have got Zoom Room certified lately. And so to us, we think the key is to make sure the broadcast equipment more accessible from the cost perspective, and more integrable with different ecosystem, less provincial, and also more manageable from the administrative perspective. And that is what Medjool has been doing so far.
Thank you. So the next question is for Chris. Elgato products have empowered millions of individual creators to produce professional-looking content. What lesson from the creator economy do you think the broadcast industry should adopt, and what pitfall should it avoid?
The broadcaster gets to learn a lot from what we do and enable the streamer to do, the home user to do. The idea that you can have something that's so simple and accessible but capable of so much is, when I think of these traditional broadcast environments, and certain manufacturers are only going to work with certain manufacturers. when you lock into these ecosystems, when you put a stream deck in that environment, you're now communicating in so many different ways. And that's really empowering. It starts from that idea of someone wanted to just be able to open a Twitch stream, control their Spotify, and simple things like that. Now that crosses over. And so the broadcaster really gains that level of flexibility and having to say, well, our control is limitless. We can work with what we want. On the flip side of that, and I think something I think deeper into later, consumer grade tech can sometimes be not that reliability that they're looking for. So what we at Elgato are doing now is adopting what we do in Stream Deck. There are new Stream Decks with scissor keys that have the button actuation that broadcasters are looking for. We're making products like the Stream Deck Studio that are PE enabled and have the routing capabilities that they're looking for. So our outlook on the broadcast space is that you guys are using us, we're going to develop better tools for you. And I think when you look at any consumer brand, that's what's up the growth, whether that's what we're doing or what Revo's doing or how Zoom is impacting stuff. It's really powerful that we're getting both sides. We're not making them say how to go.
Thank you. So, Andy, Zoom has become a ubiquitous tool for communication and now is entering in broadcast workflow, of course. How do you envision platform like Zoom contributing to professional production in the future beyond simple video conferencing?
Absolutely. So at Zoom, we kind of think of a pyramid model, and at the top of that pyramid is television and broadcast. Linear TV, high-end production, the biggest events in the world, right, that are done every day and streamed out. Then in the middle section of the period, as it gets longer, that's enterprise media production, and that's going to be all of those organizations that have all-hands presentations, hybrid lecture spaces, corporate broadcast studios, all of those things. We see that expanding in the enterprise segment. And then underneath that, the largest segment is the creator economy. All those individual producers or small businesses, the production companies for hire that are doing this work across many different clients. And what we try to do at Zoom is provide a scalable solution that can work between those different levels of the production pipeline. And so for us, remote contribution is a big piece of that. That's one of the primary ways that we interact with the broadcast industry, is having the simplicity that allows a guest to join from the Zoom platform. They can dial into a meeting just like they would call a loved one. And now they're calling into a broadcast studio. We're isolating that output as an NDI feed, for example. We can bring into a broadcast switcher and be able to produce an event with that. So for us, it's these industry standards that have emerged at different places in the industry, making sure that we have broad compatibility with the workflows and tools that people want to use, and then being able to have a familiar experience in every section in there. So when somebody is using the platform for personal use or for enterprise communications, they're building an experience that will then be applicable when they transition into high-end broadcast work. So at every level of this pyramid here, we're trying to make sure that we're offering a solution that's familiar but scalable. The high-end broadcasters are going to have, like Chris had mentioned, high reliability requirements. They're going to have certain equipment. They're going to need certification. They may need appliances. They may be, sourcing not directly from the vendors, but from intermediaries, from channel partners, from folks like that. So how we build those relationships, how we cultivate that, is how we build a scalable ecosystem that's familiar but right-sized at every portion of the market.
Thank you. So the next question is for all of you. So consumer devices are affordable and easy to use, but broadcasters are looking for reliability, quality, and scalability. Where do you see the right balance between accessibility and professional grade performance? Feel free to start.
Oh, thank you. Well, when the term consumerization or consumer-grade tools is brought up, inevitably, it could bring a very negative connotation about the quality of the device being used. But at Major, we really see it as a movement of expansion of broadcasting philosophy and the techniques into different ecosystems. So, but back to the question, it's very hard to say where the balance really lies, because I would think that different users, they have their unique use cases. So, but we have seen a lot of successful utilization of the broadcasting technologies like NDI being used outside of the broadcasting world. A lot of users, they want to see like the precision or they want to see the reliability. So I would think it will take time, but if more users are trying to, give it a try or see or learn from the successful experience of the commercial, like the corporate production, I think it will be very helpful for them to find where the balance lies.
I think it's kind of interesting when you talk about what's reliability in the broadcast space. A lot of this is set by precedent and companies using certain things for a long time. I'm sure Amy's team in 2018 would have been looked at sideways if they said, hey, you guys got to be using Zoom. The advent of major video conversion, these guys would have never thought twice about it because they've used these whole standards, and then they got hit with a giant wall because their technology had aged and they wasn't keeping contemporary. So from the Elgato standpoint, I think we're kind of winning the argument on both sides. You're already using us. We've already proven you can use us, and now it's just about adopting scale. So we look at it as saying, we got to make a better product to do what you guys want a little bit nicer, but we already are using it so much. You go into a broadcast facility, you're seeing all these technologies in so many different studios. I think the advent of the insert studio for social media events, like that's changing the game. It's like YouTube and Twitch and sports. So you're already adopting these technologies because you need something that's easy and simple for that new creator. And if you actually take a step back and look at the facility, you're kind of already making it. And if you look at what you do for the major sort of products out there, the heavy iron, you're getting them redundant anyway. So it's the same kind of conversation. Now you're just adopting your ideology to what's good for consumers.
I think, the reasons that a product becomes successful in the consumer market are superpowers that can be applied to the enterprise space. What are those reasons? It's things like ease of use and intuitive interfaces, right? Things that are strong points that allow a wide variety of individual users to want to use the product. It's scalability as well. We support hundreds of millions of daily meeting participants during the pandemic. Infrastructure that is able to support that, of course it will scale to enterprise, of course it will scale to broadcast, because we have to be battle hardened against the general public, to be accessible to them and useful in their environments. When I think about specific workflows that we see kind of working up market, for me on the remote contribution side, we have something we call single party versus multi-party calling. Now, broadcasters tend to do a lot of single party calls. And what that means is that they have one-on-one calls with each guest. Even if you're going to have 5 guests on a call, each of them are going to have 5 different meetings, and they're going to pull out each one of them, and then they're going to be responsible for doing a mix minus back to each one of them. That's a very broadcast, one-way calling mentality. But in consumer markets and enterprise, everybody just jumps on the call together, and they automatically hear each other. There is no need to do independent mix minus to each guest, and that's a very natural way to have a business meeting or to call your family. You just all jump on the call and you do that together. So with tools that we made with custom AV for Zoom rooms and Zoom ISO, we gave the broadcasters the ability to have the individual audio and video feeds through NDI, for example, so that they could work in a way that was compatible with their switchers and workflows. But we enabled multi-party calling that cut the latency in half, dramatically reduced the complexity. So now they're comparing their spend between what the enterprise is doing and what the broadcaster is doing, and they find that it's actually a more efficient workflow. It's been pioneered out through consumer markets up through the enterprise and is now running circles around some of these more traditional broadcast studio designs. So there definitely is inspiration that can be taken to the market from these types of architectural decisions.
Yeah, by the way, that's very interesting. I think, again, NDI is a very good example of something that, because was super simple to use and just work, that at some point even the broadcaster started to using it because there was so many advantages using the technology. So the next question is again related to this. So do you think that all these consumer tools application are democratizing the broadcast production and are opening the door to new player, new ideas and voice, or will serve as a complement for the traditional large-scale production? What do you think about that?
I would think that it opens doors to new players and new voices. Like I talked with Chris before the panel starts, we have a product called a Director Mini, Director One. It is a portable device that will be used for the switching, production, recording, etc. And we see it unlock the possibilities of leveraging the technology at Major, at the Corsair to do the switching for people who may not have the knowledge to get access to the traditional equipment to do those productions. So yeah, definitely I think it will give more people, not just the professionals, but people who are just interested to create the contents, the tools to contribute more.
Yeah, I mean, the democratization is a good way to put it. I think about, if you're a broadcaster and you want to follow a contemporary audience, your audience is ever changing. If you were doing sports-based productions and following your market average went from 25 to 55. If you want to address a new young market, your production has to do that as well. And so when you look at the people coming out of college in the broadcast space, they're using these products. So your facility needs to be ready for that. And when you need to adopt to a new platform that's a weird kind of video format because that's where the eyeballs are, you're going to need that agility. And then, beyond democratization, the budgets are changing for broadcast. When I got a new studio facility, I don't have the $1 million budget. Maybe I have a third of that. Well, now all these consumer products come in, they fill those gaps, and hey, at the end of the year, we look at our budget, it's like, actually, we can replicate this format. So even within the broadcast themselves, I think about affiliate stations. Not everybody's NBC in New York, what I'm used to. There's these stations all across the globe where the funding's different. And so they are going to need different sets of tools. And so something like a Stream Deck is going to be really slick to be able to control whatever devices they're going for. And that is going to continue to be the change because everything around the core base of where the viewer is changing.
Roberto, I love that you use the word democratization because it's something that resonates a lot with us in what we're trying to do in the broadcast and television space. We just in our recent Emmy Award for developing technology to support remote contribution, the specific reason for that award was the word democratization. It was about bringing remote contribution workflows that were traditionally very high cost, very uncomfortable to use, very high friction, say, to deploy and bring down market. It was about adopting technologies that we got from the consumer space, that we got from the enterprise market, and codifying them, productizing them, and making them more accessible in the space. We really believe that everybody has a story to tell, regardless of whether you're an independent content creator talking about something that you're passionate about, making tailored content for people who share that passion with you, or whether you're the enterprise trying to get out a message about your product line or your services and what that can enable for customers. Everybody has those broadcast scale needs. We're now in a situation where with what has happened in distribution technology, the ability to reach individuals directly through platforms like YouTube and Twitch, there are so many more vectors now by which we can reach our audiences, and this technology's evolution plays a critical role in being able to make that more widely accessible. So it's definitely something we think about a lot, and I'm excited because I don't think that the democratization of this technology is a threat at all to broadcasters. In fact, the very reasons that it becomes more democratized make it more scalable for broadcasting. They can now run 50 stations at the price that they were running one, just 10 years ago. So it allows them to scale the art of the possible in the same way that it makes it achievable and practical for everybody else in the market. It's the same core capabilities that are unlocking all of those opportunities across the market.
Yeah, by the way, the fact that there are other channels where share content, to give you and to share some number about it. Last year I was involved in the figure skating, the International Junior Grand Prix, and I remember was 2 months of production and was only on YouTube, and there was 500,000 viewers. Was even difficult to imagine the same number if this was broadcast on TV. No? The fact that it was on YouTube was reaching this kind of number, which is quite incredible. No? And so I have a closing question for all of you. How would you imagine a control room in 5 years? A broadcast control room, and how much the future control room will adopt non-traditional broadcast equipment or solution. How do you imagine this in 5 years?
Well, I would expect that powered by the AV over IP, it will be less provincial in the years to come. Like we would like to really see that the software or technologies like NDI can help manufacturers to break the barriers from the control perspective, that different systems they could contribute to the production industry. That's what I envision the future to come.
Future. When I think about the future of this, it's really interesting because I think there's a lot that went into these facilities because of the nature of how the signals had to work, the way we had to get things back and forth. So I think the future of the broadcast space, maybe not in 5 years, but faster than I think, is not having this massive building with these loaded equipment spaces and studios. It's probably going to be more and more things being remotely distributed with IP technology behind it. It's going to be smaller things that we can prop up that still give us the same quality we need, whether that's using virtual production tools, whether that's using accessibility tools. Just those things are going to power it. So will the major broadcasters do it in 5 years? No, but they're going to start. And we see this already in the cloud space of what we are doing. So it's just natural that we're going to start to relook at, what's the nature of the investment on this building that we're in? Like, how can we change that? And then they'll reach you when they get to. So I think they'll get smaller, they'll have more of these consumer devices in, and what we think of as a traditional studio is going to fundamentally change because they can do more with less.
We're going to agree with both my peers here that AV over IP is. If you're building a studio even today and you're not considering AV over IP, I think you're missing out significantly on the affordances that are given to you by these modern IP-based workflows. But 5 years from now, even more so. I also think cloud production is going to fundamentally change the way we think about the control room, especially over the next 5 years. We're walking around IBC, everybody's talking about what's our cloud switcher platform, what's our cloud production platform, how are we getting ready for that migration, what is the mix of on-prem infrastructure compared to amortized cost of ongoing cloud production. So I think that's going to continue to be prevalent. I also think AI is going to play a significant role in the control room operations in terms of what roles humans have to play in the orchestration of media technology. And I think you'll see an interesting convergence of the orchestration layers that are managing containerization, that are managing our video flows in the cloud, and what we can do with some of the technologies that we're seeing right now in the AI space. So I think those three things are going to play a significant role in reshaping and giving a facelift, a much needed facelift to the way that we view these control rooms in broadcast spaces.
So, thank you so much. It was the last question. Thank you, Amy, Andy, and Chris. And we don't have any panel tomorrow, but thank you for coming and thank you for spending some time here with us.